Hello, and thanks for joining us. I'm Amanda Yancey, a member of the Friends of Neal Smith National Wildlife Refuge, and today we're at Neal Smith National Wildlife Refuge near Des Moines, Iowa. We're here today on behalf of the Refuge National Wildlife Refuge Association Young Ambassadors Program. This program aims to get younger generations interested and involved in the survival of our country's natural resources. What better way to do that than to see and learn about one of the most iconic animals in North America, the bison. Neal Smith is home to 66 wild bison, and seeing these amazing animals up close will definitely leave an impression on you. If you ever have the chance to visit, you will certainly catch the bison spirit. I'm here with Refuge staff and Friends members to learn more. To start, let's chat with Karen and learn more about the bison.
Hi, I'm Karen. I'm the wildlife biologist here at Neal Smith National Wildlife Refuge. Bison are also known as buffalo, and they're an important part of the tallgrass prairie. Here at Neal Smith, we're trying to restore and preserve the tallgrass prairie that was historically here in Iowa. Bison are a keystone species in tallgrass prairie, meaning that they are important in maintaining the ecosystem. They have a big influence on the other animals and plants that live here. Through their grazing, they affect the vegetation, which has effects on the wildlife, such as some of the birds that prefer shorter grasses and some invertebrates, butterflies, and other animals. Here at Neal Smith, the bison are in an 800-acre enclosure, and they don't have any natural predators here. So that means we have to manage them. We manage the population by gathering the bison once a year and removing some of the animals and sending them to other conservation areas and tribal lands. Through this process, we also do health testing and genetic testing to prevent inbreeding within our herd. Now I'll hand it over to Rachel, who will tell you a little bit more about the refuge.
Thanks, Karen. Hi, I'm Rachel, former intern here at Neal Smith National Wildlife Refuge. Although much of Iowa's native landscapes have been altered, restoration efforts like those here at the refuge give us a glimpse of what life was like on the prairie. Neal Smith National Wildlife Refuge is one of just 2 sites here in Iowa that are using bison to help restore the prairie. Bison are hoofed mammals with a characteristic shoulder hump, and right now they're shedding their thick winter fur that is so effective at insulating that falling snow on their back won't even melt. Both bison males, called bulls, and females, called cows, have horns, and their horns are helpful for defending against predators and for establishing their social hierarchy. Bison travel in a family herd, which is comprised of the cows and calves and immature males and females, while the bulls form loose bachelor groups as well as roam on their own. Do we have any questions so far?
So I see a question in the chat actually from Rachel Williams. Rachel, is when are bison calves typically born?
Good question. Right now is a good time to check out the family herd because calves are born late spring and into summer. And when they're born, they are a deep orangish red color, so pretty cool to see.
Nice. And we have one more. How many bison typically they usually travel together?
That's a good question. The family herd, I would say, is maybe about 45 bison total, and then there's about 10 or 20 bulls, depending on the time of year. And now I will pass it over to Patrick.
Thanks for all that, Rachel. So I'm Ranger Patrick, so I do visitor services here, so all the people who come and visit Neal Smith I get to work with. And feel free if you have any questions throughout all this, and I trust Josh to pan over to the bison because they are the real stars of this show. But we don't just have bison here. We also, you might be able to see some grassland birds. You might even hear some if we listen here for a second. And then they won't cooperate. That's how it goes. But we also have lots of insects. We have all sorts of different mammals. So lots of different things called Neal Smith home. And that's because we have tallgrass prairie that gives them everything they need to survive. Now, you might be wondering, what is tallgrass prairie? And it is an ecosystem defined by really tall grasses, so even taller than me, and prairie flowers, so really pretty, vibrant, tall flowers. And it's really important to Iowa's ecosystem. So pre-European settlement, more than 85% of Iowa was covered in tallgrass prairie. We have less than that now, and I'm wondering if anyone can drop in the chat how much of that 85% you think remains. So take a second, think about it, put in your guesses. We'll give you some lovely footage of the prairie. We have any guesses, Josh?
We do. We have 25% from Lori, 55% from April,
Okay, keep going down. Those are good guesses.
2% from Heidi,
Ooh, you're getting closer. Take a couple more, less than 2%.
and we have a 3%, 30%. Let's see. We have a bunch of questions, but we'll get to that in a second. 35%.
Okay. All good guesses, and you all went lower than 85, so well done. So we actually have 1/10 of 1% of Iowa's tallgrass prairie remaining. So if you're one of these animals that live here, that's a huge change, and you can imagine just how important the prairie is to them. So it's one of the reasons that this place was created. Congressman Neal Smith in 1980s was looking for a place that would preserve Iowa's prairie heritage, and he was instrumental in helping establish this place with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. So in 1990 we were formed, and to this day we have about 6,000 acres of that lovely tallgrass prairie that can support lots of different wildlife. But it's not just for wildlife, it's for people too. So you can't see it, but just over this hill here is actually a road that goes through our bison enclosure. So you can get up close and personal with the bison too if you visit. We've also got trails, other recreation opportunities, so it's for wildlife and it is for people. Education is also a big part of what we do. In normal times, we would have lots of school groups coming out for field trips to get some hands-on experience with the prairie, because I can talk at length about the prairie and about bison, but it's a whole nother thing to see them up close and personal. So education's a big part of what we do, and I'm completely blanking on what I wanted to say. I've got it. So most of you probably are watching from a state that isn't Iowa, and that's great. This is a great opportunity for you to experience the tallgrass prairie without having to be here. We hope you'll visit us sometime in person, but if you can't, just like you're doing right now, Facebook is a great way to get involved and see what we're doing. Baby calves should be born any day now. We're hoping to post some photos of those. They're really cute, really fun to watch. And then our website is another great place. So even if you're watching from afar, there's lots of ways to stay involved.
And we actually have a question from Nancy asking, how long do bison live?
That's a great question. So Karen's probably the best person for that as our biologist.
Bison can live 20 to 25 years. The cows live longer than the bulls because usually the bulls will fight more, and so they're more likely to be injured and die of those injuries. But at least in this setting where we don't have natural predators, the cows can live more than 20 years.
And we have another question from Bethany asking, how many can a mom give birth to at one time?
It's generally only singles. twins are extremely rare. I've never seen it. So.
And from Heidi asking, how do bison keep the prairie plant habitat healthy and contribute to restoration?
Ooh, good question. So bison eat mostly grass. They really prefer grasses over the other plants, the wildflowers that grow here. So by eating the grass, they're actually helping to promote the other plants and helping them to grow. So we get a lot of, sunflowers and all kinds of different plants. So it just helps to have more variety in the vegetation.
Perfect. And that actually answered April's question too, for what do bison like to eat. And we have another one from Candace asking, how much does an average bison weigh?
An average cow weighs about 800 pounds, and the bulls weigh probably closer to 1,200 to 1,500 pounds.
Very nice. And I guess we have one more from Rick asking, how big is the area for where the bison roam?
Here at Neal Smith, it's 800 acres that's fenced.
Wow. And so from Bethany, the questions are just pouring in. So we have another one asking, do bison have any predators?
They do out in places like Yellowstone. Wolves will attack and kill them. Cougars can. Not sure if there's any others, but here we don't have any in Iowa. They're just those species have been extirpated. Oh, grizzly bears, I think, can kill the bison.
Amazing. So yeah, keep asking questions in the comments if you guys have anything. I'm seeing a lot of people are viewing from all over. We have people from Massachusetts and Minnesota and even Nashville, and I think I saw one from Ireland. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We have just a few more moments on here, but feel free to ask questions. We have a lot of great experts here to answer questions about these amazing creatures. So go back over here to our team.
Thank you, Karen, and thank you, Patrick, and thank you guys for watching today. I'm really glad that we got to see the bison. It's a beautiful day here near Des Moines. This event today was brought to you by the National Wildlife Refuge Association in partnership with Neal Smith National Wildlife Refuge. The National Wildlife Refuge Association represents 568 refuges across the country, and they look forward to bringing more live social media events for young people to enjoy. As a young ambassador of the Refuge Association, we want to encourage and develop younger generations to become involved in the natural environment and wildlife. Please join us and become a young ambassador, because teaching our younger generations the importance of protecting our environment is critical to its preservation. You will receive information about important issues that face our wildlife and their habitat, and hopefully you'll be inspired to become involved in your local refuge. Also, you'll be informed about other Young Ambassador live events at other refuges across the country, highlighting different types of animals. Please go to refugeassociation.org to learn more and to sign up as a Young Ambassador. You'll get an official Young Ambassador cap, and it's completely free. It also, if you would like to support the Neal Smith National Wildlife Refuge, consider becoming a Friends member. Visit tallgrass.org to learn more about the Friends group, and be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram as well. I have had a wonderful time today, and I hope that you guys have as well, and we'll talk to you soon.
Perfect. And before we hop off, Amanda, we're going to answer one more question with Karen. Somebody just asked a few more questions. Let's see. We have from Aaron, what's the gestation timeline for bison?
It's about 10 months.
And when would you recommend the best time is to visit during the year post-COVID?
It's different all year round, but for the wildflowers and to see bison calves, probably summer is best. June, July, August, those are really good times to be here, but it really changes every week of the year, so it's always a good time to visit.
Amazing. And we just have one final question, and I'll kind of give a tour of the structure we're standing on. But somebody asked, can you explain the structure of where we're standing right now?
This is our handling facility, and this is where we gather the bison in each year when we're doing our processing. So we run each of the bison through. They get scanned because they each have a microchip, so we can get close enough to them to scan them, and then some of them are shipped off to other locations, so we hold those in pens, and then a lot of them are tested for, they have blood samples taken so we can look at disease issues, and we get genetic tests done on each of the calves, and then the microchips help us identify those individuals in the future.
Awesome. That was great. And we have one more actually from Bill Coleman, and then I'll just give a little tour of the structure we're on and give you guys an overview of this whole amazing place. So from Bill, any prairie dogs in the refuge?
No, we actually don't have prairie dogs here in Iowa. We're outside of the range. We do have ground squirrels, though. They kind of serve that same niche in the ecosystem. They make little burrows.
Amazing. And what other wildlife can we expect to see at Neal Smith Refuge?
We have a lot of birds. We have over 200 species of birds that are found on the refuge, including some really unique tallgrass prairie species like dick thistles and Henslow's sparrows. We have the ground squirrels. Of course, we have deer. We also have elk in this area. In the same fenced area as the bison, there are 17 elk right now.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Karen, and thank you, team. I'm going to give everybody a little overview of this structure, and then we will hop off Facebook Live. But thank you, everybody, for joining. And be sure to tune in and sign up to be a Young Ambassador at refugeassociation.org/youngambassadors, and you'll receive a free hat. But here's a little overview of the gorgeous views of Neal Smith National Wildlife Refuge here in Prairie City, Iowa. Thanks again, everybody, for joining, and we'll see you soon. Be sure to like and follow us at National Wildlife Young Ambassadors, and we hope to see you out at the refuge sometime soon.